Good morning, David.
Good morning, Salim.
David, in previous questions we have talked about we are living in a very dynamic era.
Yes.
Things are changing and we have new technologies. And one of them, of course, is artificial intelligence.
Yes, it is.
So how might artificial intelligence affect risk management?
I think this is a fascinating question, and I wish we had all day to discuss it, but we don't. So how can we limit this to a manageable discussion? First of all, there's a lot of misunderstanding about artificial intelligence. It is not automation.
Yes.
It is not using computers or robots or machines to do the routine tasks that people do. That is
These are applications.
Yes. So that's not artificial intelligence. So of course we can have automated ways of recording and reporting data. We can have, it's the simple use of Monte Carlo simulation is an automation, and you have a computer doing what 30 years ago somebody would have to do with a calculator and a slide rule and a lot of paper and pen, to try and do some kind of simulation. Almost impossible. And then a computer, that's not artificial intelligence. The computer running a Monte Carlo simulation doesn't know anything. It's not thinking, it's not making decisions. So artificial intelligence is about machine learning. It's about the ability to adapt. It's about the ability to develop an understanding or a kind of awareness of a situation and adapt the analysis to the environment.
So are we here talking about a machine being trained as a human being and learning a machine itself, trying to mimic human being or not?
Yes and no. So that's one way of developing artificial intelligence, is for a machine to learn how we do things and to try and to copy what we do. But also machine learning is for a machine to learn how to do things in its own way, in a better way, in an adaptive way. And that would be more intelligent than just copying somebody else, as it is with people. I can copy you. That allows me to get to your level, maybe not quite to your level because I don't have your experience, but I can follow you. Or I can look at you and I can say, that's interesting, and what she's doing is interesting, and my way is quite interesting too. Let's combine them and make something different. So artificial intelligence is about machine learning and adaptability. And I think there is a level of possibility here. A long time ago, 1991 or 2, the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, in the United Kingdom, had a group that was developing expert systems. This is quite early in the development of these approaches. And I was based in the UK. I liaised with this university to think if we could develop a risk expert system. It was very interesting work, and we worked together for about a year, and it never came to anything. I'm very sad.
So you was trying to replace the risk?
Yes.
Okay.
Aren't we glad that we never succeeded? Otherwise, I would be sweeping the streets or...
That is very, very important aspect in this discussion.
Well, let's come to that if we may. But so what we were doing was trying to work out what happens in my head when I'm doing a risk analysis. And so to derive the rules and the decision making that I was following, and I was trying to explain as I did each step, I'm now applying this idea, this judgment here, this set of principles apply here. Here's a technique that I'll follow which gives me some output which I interpret in this way. And it was very interesting trying to, we talked about thinking to work out what I was doing. And a lot of it you can't work out. A lot of it is intuitive. So some of the things we could do, so let's say you come to me and you say, what are my risks? I said, well, I need more information. So what circumstances are you in? You say, I'm running a small business. My head goes, small business. Now I exclude all of these things about big businesses. I know we only need this subset. Yes. You say, I'm running a small business with 25 people. So I now think it's not just 2 or 3 people. I now have this set, but not 1,000 people. And I make another subset. And we're in the IT sector. Okay, immediately another cut. And we're developing applications to go on mobile phones. Oh, okay, here's another cut. And you tell me more and more about your business. And in my head, I'm cutting down the thousands of possibilities.
Yes.
So now I can say, okay, well, from my experience, when you finally end describing, here are 10 things to consider. And then we explore those together, and out of that, we come to something that's useful. You could model that in a computer.
Yes.
You could have a computer that had a huge database of potential risks, all tagged with a range of different criteria. And then as you describe to the computer, you say, I want an estimate for a project, an exploration project in the oil and gas sector. It immediately goes to a section of the database, says, okay, I've got 10,000 of those. And you say, okay, it's in Kazakhstan, and it's in this particular environment. It takes place over this period, and it does what I did. And it comes out with a list of 50 risks and says, think about these. Yeah. That's not really very intelligent. That's not what I do as a risk consultant in my intelligent work.
But also, in this case, in this example, data are structured.
Yes.
Data can be also information unstructured.
Unstructured, exactly. Mm-hmm. So when I'm working with some of my clients, what I do is I talk to people, I interview senior stakeholders, I read a lot of documentation, I ask people, to tell me their opinions. And then I say to my customers, I'm going to sleep now. And I'm going to charge you for my sleeping time. And I go to the office, I go home, I spend maybe a weekend or maybe 2 or 3 days. And I go for a walk, and I go swimming, and I play with my granddaughter, and I don't do anything. And something is happening in my head. Mm-hmm. And 1 week later, I sit down to write a report. And things come out of my head about this situation, which I didn't know that I knew. And what was happening was somewhere back here, my brain was quietly, busily working away, making connections, making deductions, making inferences and testing them, and then coming up with a conclusion. Now that's intelligence. And I'm not saying I'm particularly intelligent, but when you try to tell a client you're going to charge them for sleeping time, or for thinking time, they're a bit worried about it. What am I paying for?
How can we pay for your laziness? Yes.
What you're paying for is the intelligence, is the experience. Wisdom is embodied experience.
Yes.
So you take experience and you put it in a body or in a brain, and then something, you might say magical or mystical or mysterious, something amazing happens, and out comes wisdom. And I don't know how it happens. So when I talk to the University of Edinburgh scientists in the expert system department, and they say, how did you do that? I said, I went to sleep for 2 days. I didn't think about it, and the answer emerged. Well, they can't model that.
Yes.
So if we can get to the point where machine systems can find out how to do that, then they might make an interesting contribution. So until then, we need people to do that part of it. But they're beginning. I think artificial intelligence systems are emerging, which can look at, you look at big data.
Yes.
And data mining. Yes. And what they're doing, it's like my process of interviewing 10 or 20 people and reading 50 documents and getting all this input and then going to sleep or going for a walk. Yes. They have access to millions of data points. Yes. And they look at all of that, and they don't sleep, but they apply multiple algorithms and connections and groupings and and various regressions and so on, correlations. And they deduce and test and go back to the data. They're doing what I did, but on a much bigger scale.
Yes.
And so the data mining is the beginning of that process. Yes. The question is, can they do the last step? Mm-hmm. Can they mine the data, spot the connections, and then use that to produce a useful conclusion? Mm-hmm. At the moment, I don't think so. Yes. But they could present to a human an analysis of big data that says, here are, I would say 10 things are the most we can think about, 10 things to consider. And then the human can do the last step and go to sleep or go for a walk based.
Exactly. So here the conclusion is that, yes, we can use artificial intelligence. We can use it as a tool, but still a human being should be there for the last step.
Only because we don't have true artificial intelligence. We're still using the machine as a data processing unit. Yes. And we're allowing it to do correlations and things that we would do, but we can't do it with that size of data or with that speed.
Yes.
So the intelligent part is still missing. Yes. What we need is then to be truly in the AI space is the ability to make inferences, to learn, say, I tried that, it didn't work, I'm going to try something different, I'll never do that again, or not in these circumstances. And then to have a learning cycle within the overall machine. And I think we are getting there. Certainly in some areas there is some interesting development.
Yes.
But at the moment we don't have the truly intelligent part. They're just mass data processors, I think. How long it will be before we get there, I don't know. It could be 2, 5, 10 years, not so far away perhaps, but not yet.
Yes. It's a very interesting emerging field, David, and I'm sure it will have an impact in many fields, not only risk management.
I hope I'm still here to see it. You know, I'm in my mid-60s, early 60s.
Let us hope.
And it would be wonderful if I saw a computer that would allow me to retire. Until then, I'm having lots of fun. So
interesting.
Yes.
Because the whole issue is that with the artificial intelligence is that going to replace us?
Yes.
In terms of robots and other applications, because then we'll be sitting just watching, so the robot can do a lot of jobs, and then we'll be talking a lot about unemployment.
We just go fishing, or
yes.
Well, I don't think so. You look at all of the other industrial revolutions there have been, and people have been displaced, but new technologies have come. We need people to program our AI machines and to maintain them. We need people to invent new applications and developments of those things. There will be new things that come along in terms of renewable energy conservation, maybe carbon capture. You know, whole new industries will emerge that we haven't thought of yet.
Exactly, I'm sure. Even with, let us imagine with robots, who is going to maintain them?
Exactly.
Repairing them and building them. And so, yeah, there'll be new type of jobs emerging.
And then you have the worry of science fiction that the computers repair themselves, they produce themselves, they learn from each other, and they leave us behind. And I wonder, there are different views in the AI community.
Yes.
Some see the doomsday when the computers take over and kill us all because they don't need us anymore. And others say that is just, that can't happen.
Yes.
And obviously it depends on, we talked about the values and beliefs of society and nations. If we have forward-looking people who see this coming, we can build the safeguards in, and we can be alert enough to pull the plug whilst we still have the chance. But it's a very, very interesting field.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, human beings are in control. We are the one who will decide which direction we want to go.
We are today. If artificial intelligence really becomes intelligent, then maybe they become in control. And then we're in the science fiction scenario.
Maybe.
Wait and see.
Yes. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.